This is Connie's front garden. But what's this? It's had all the color, style, and magic sucked out of it. But not to worry, Connie. We can help make the garden pretty again with the power of dreams. Just to start you off, all the lighting's already done. We can learn more about that later. And because I'm ever your servant, I've also grouped some of these objects just for you. It'll make editing them quicker and easier. So what does the garden need? Well, it could do with some color, texture, and movement. Luckily, the coat, style, and effects modes are the perfect tools to do that. They don't create new objects, they modify existing sculptures and paintings. And they work on groups. With just a little practice, you can become a master of them all. So let's start by adding some color with the tint tool. Open the assembly menu with the square button and go to the modes menu. Each mode has its own set of tools and options. The tint tool is in coat mode. It has an icon that looks like a pot of paint being spilled. As you can see, the assembly menu has now been replaced with the coat menu. In the top row, you'll find options and helpers. Along the bottom, you'll find the tools. Now, which color to use? Open the colors menu in the top row of icons. These are color groups. You can expand a color group with X. Each group contains more shades that you can choose from. I'm going to find a green for the foliage, but if green's not your thing, you can experiment.
ああ、赤でもこれだけ種類があるんだな。お疲れ様です。
Pick a shade, or if you fancy a more painterly or organic look, choose the tumbler color at the end of the group. That will apply a random shade that changes as you work. When you've chosen a color, you're ready to go to the next step. To add color to our scene, we'll use the tint tool, which has an icon like an airbrush. You can manually select it in the tools menu.
色のメニューの移動はできないのかな?
Color from the colors menu equips the tint tool automatically. See the airbrush icon on the tip of your imp. The tint tool recolors objects, either tinting or completely covering their original color. Just press and hold R2 to tint the objects at the tip of your imp. No need to select or scope into anything. The rounded clumps look a bit dreary in this scene. Let's add some color. You can see that the longer you hold R2, the stronger the tint gets. And with a tumbler color selected, it will cycle through different shades. If you make a mistake, you can undo using the left directional button. Or set your tool to subtract and you can detint. How do you do that? If you press triangle while the tool is active, your imp will change to an outline. So now it will remove tint instead of adding it. And that works on pretty much all of the coat, style, and effects tools. Just press triangle when they're equipped to make them subtractive. Try removing some color using subtractive tint now. Just hold R2 over the object. And to make the tool additive again, press triangle. Now that you've got to grips with that, you can color in the whole scene with the tint tool. Go wild. Use
左のトリガーを押していたからか。
rocks, river, grass, trees, and the little cottage. The colors menu has all the colors you need. Just open a color group.
あ、これはあれですね。今色塗りのお勉強って感じですね。
Take some time to color your scene. When you're done, move on to the next.
世界に色が うひょひょい。とりあえずこれでペイントツールの色塗りは分かった。
Good job. Now your scene is beautifully colored in. Let's add some texture to it. For that, we need to leave coat mode and go into style mode. To leave a mode, select the exit button in the top right of the screen. Or you can use a shortcut. Hold L1 and press circle. Just like scoping out of a group. Now use the modes menu to switch over to style mode. The style mode icon is an S-shaped brushstroke.
押す分だけこう塗られるのいいね。
are made up of flecks, and style mode is where we manipulate them. For
あ、やべ、
example,
人の話聞いてなかった。
notice how the
何を
objects
す
in
る？
the scene look smooth. That's because their flecks are small and tightly packed together. We can make them more textured with the looseness
ごめん、ちょっと
tool.
先生、もう一回。
Then look in
ごめん、
Dreams
話聞いてなかった。
are made to switch over to style mode. The style mode icon is an S-shaped brushstroke. All sculptures and paintings
Style
in
mode ね。
Dreams are made up of flecks, and style mode is where we manipulate them. For example, notice how the objects in this scene look smooth. That's because their flecks are small and tightly packed together.
ここら辺はちょっと日本語版で覚えよう。
Select the looseness tool. It looks like a
また説明が入るの。
blurry circle. Now try using R2 to loosen some of the foliage in the scene. Don't hold back. As you can see,
おー、マジかマジかマジかすげえな。
If you think they're getting
草になっていく。
press triangle to make the tools subtractive and tighten them up again with R2. Or you can just use the left directional button to
す
undo.
ごい、ボタンの強弱でずっと押すと、
Don't forget to loosen
あ、
up the
最後まで
river
押すと
too.
これぐらいになるん
You'll
だ。
need it in the following steps. Carry on loosening the objects in the scene. When you're happy, proceed to the next step.
すごい、一気に草感やば。
Wonderful. Connie's garden looks like a lovely painting.
これコニーちゃんのガーデニングやったんやな。
Water has a reflective quality, so let's add some shine to the river. This is where the finish tool comes in. Exit out of style mode with L1 and circle and head back into coat mode in the modes
なん
menu.
かすげえしおれたんだけど。
Next to the colors menu in coat mode, you'll find the finishes menu. Select it with X. These finishes change the way objects react to light in your scene. Using finishes, you can make objects shiny, rough, metallic, or even translucent. Now you can choose your finish for the river. Let's see. Ah, yes. How about shiny wax? Wax finishes are translucent, and the
ちょっと待
shine
って
will give
先生、ごめんなさい。
colors menu in color and circle, and head back into coat mode in the modes menu. Next to the colors menu in coat mode, you'll find the finishes menu. Select it with X.
ん？どこをどうしてた？
Colors menu and with quality. So let's add some shine to the river. This is where the finish tool comes in. Exit out of style mode with L1 and circle and head back into coat mode in the modes menu. Next to the colors menu in coat mode, you'll find the finishes menu. Select it with X. These finishes change the way objects react to light in your scene.
プラスチック、
Using
シ
finishes,
ャイ
you
ニーっ
can
てなん
make
やろ。
objects shiny,
ラフ、
rough,
メタ
metallic,
ル、
or even translucent.
ワックス、
Now
シャ
you
イニ
can
ーメ
choose
タ
your
ル。
finish for the river. Let's see. Ah,
シャイ
yes. How about shiny wax?
シャイニーワックス。
Wax finishes are translucent, and the shine will give the river a reflective surface that will catch the light. Apply the finishes before using R2. Remember that you can revert your changes by switching to subtractive mode with triangle, or by using undo. Try editing the finish on other groups and objects in the scene. Continue to the next step when you're ready.
待って、シャイニーワックスは一体どう変化したんだ。シャイニーワックス分かりづらいけど、まあなんか変わってたな。ちょっとツヤ感が出んのかな。
But there's a magical tool for that in effects mode. It's called the flow tool.
ちょっとツルピカなんですかね。なんかちょっと全体が淡い感じだからちょっと分かりにくかったけど、メタリック材質のやつとか並んでたら分かりやすいのかな。
Alongside the flow tool, you'll notice other animated effects that you can apply to sculptures or paintings. But for now, we'll pick the flow tool. Its icon is a
やべ、
tap.
ちょっと見放してたらもう
Icon has some twinkly stars on it.
ティンクリスター。はいはい。
Alongside the flow tool, you'll notice other animated effects that you can apply to sculptures or paintings.
これは自然現象系かな。
Its icon is a tap or a faucet if you're from the US. Press X over the flow tool to select it, and use R2 to apply it to the river. Isn't that lovely? In effects mode, you can preview the flow effect even when time is paused. But if you leave effects mode, you'll need to click R3 to see the effects in action.
これは今何が行われているの？
You may notice something a bit odd. It's flowing the wrong way. Let's fix that using another tool found in style mode, the comb tool. Leave effects mode using L1 and circle, then go back into style mode via the modes menu. The comb tool icon is some wavy lines. Select it with X.
ちょっと待って。
Now we're going to make the river flow the
ちょっと先生待って。
using L1 and circle, then go back into style mode via the modes menu. The comb tool icon is some wavy lines. Select it with X. Using L, it's flowing the rock. To click R, lovely. Press X over
この道路みたいのが水になる説明なんだけど。
But for now, we'll pick the flow tool. Its icon is a tap or a faucet if you're from the US. Press X over the flow tool to select it, and use R2 to apply it to the river. Isn't that lovely? In effects mode, you can preview the flow effect even when time is paused. But if you leave effects mode, you need to click
水に
R3
ならな
to
く
see the
な
effects
い？
in action. When the river's flowing at the right speed, you may notice something a bit odd. It's flowing the wrong way.
これ水にならないんだけど。なぜだ？
Press X or paintings. The icon has some twinkly stars on it. Alongside the flow tool, you'll notice other animated effects that you can apply to sculptures or paintings. But for now, we'll pick the flow tool. Its icon is a tap or a faucet if you're from the US. Press X over the flow tool to select it, and use R2 to apply it to the river. Isn't that lovely? In effects mode, you can preview the flow effect even when time is paused. But if you leave effects mode, you'll need to click R3 to see the effects
い
in
や、
action.
若干なってんな。若干。
When the river's flowing at the right speed, you may notice something a bit odd. It's flowing the wrong way. Let's fix that using another tool found in style mode, the comb tool. Leave effects mode using L1 and circle, then go back into style mode via the modes menu. The comb tool icon is some wavy lines. Select it with X. Now we're going to make the river flow the correct way. How do we do that? You guessed it. Hold R2 to comb the flecks of the river so they go in the right direction.
ちょっと待って。
We're no longer in effects mode, so we can't see the flow effect animating.
リバー感が出ないんだけど。
Start time, and you'll be able to see it again. The key is to move your imp in the direction you'd like the flecks to flow. A bit like you're combing the river's hair. Very stylish. Let go of R2 when you're happy with the flow direction. And now you can see the river is going the correct way. But if it isn't, just undo and try again. When you're happy with the speed and direction of the river, click L3 to rewind time. Then it's off to the next step.
ちょっと待って。リバー感もういいや。できたってことにしよ
This scene is really coming together. Next, let's do something interesting with the chimney smoke. Move closer to the smoke so you can see the flecks clearly. These flecks don't look very smoky, do they? Let's change that. If you're not already in style mode, head there now using the modes menu. Open the flex menu with X. It's the button in the center of the top row. Now choose a fleck that looks smoky. How about the dots fleck? When you choose a fleck type, it'll automatically select the Apply Fleck tool. Now, hover your imp over the smoke and hold R2. The flecks will change. That's better. Let's inspect it now using the grab cam. Grab it with R1. And while you're grabbing, spin around it with the left or right stick.
これできてんの?
The paint strokes look a bit flat, don't they? You can only see them well from certain angles. We can make it a bit more billowy and three-dimensional using the Impasto tool. In the Style menu, select the Impasto tool, then hold R2 to apply it to the smoke. Watch as the individual flecks of the painting become more three-dimensional. To see it better, use the grab cam to spin around the smoke again. You can also press undo and redo to compare the smoke with and without Impasto. Now that you've mastered Impasto, the last style tool we're going to use is the Ruffle tool. The Ruffle tool icon looks like a lot of lines going in different directions. It will randomly rotate the flecks so they're not as orderly. It works in the same way as the other two tools. Select it with X.
やばいな、どんどん深いところにいて迷子になりそう。
And switch the tool to subtractive by pressing triangle. Ruffle makes quite a difference, doesn't it? Why not see if you can animate the smoke using the flow tool in effects mode? When you're happy, go to the next step of the tutorial.
の表現であれか、
Now that
ワ
the
ン
scene
ワ
is
ンワンって
looking good,
させてるっ
we
てこ
should
となの
make
かな。
Connie's cottage look more welcoming for her. We can do that
おはようござい
using
ます。
something called the glow tool. So head back to the modes menu and into coat mode. The glow tool has an icon that looks like a little sun. Select it with X, then move your view over to the cottage for a closer look. Now position your view
ちょっと待って、
over
ちょっ
to
と
the cottage,
落ち着いて先生。
something called the glow tool. So head back to the modes menu and into coat mode.
カラーモードで
The glow tool has an icon that looks like a little sun. Select it with X, then move your view over to the cottage for a closer look. Now position your view so that you can see the door and the window of the cottage. Then hold R2 over the window in the door to make it glow. Go on, give it some welly.
わー
Whoa, that's too bright.
シャイ
Let's press triangle to make the tool subtractive. Then use R2 to reduce the glow.
え、その減少させるのどうやってやっ
Maybe
て
you
んの？
could try tinting the window to change the color of the light. See what you think. Have a play with the glow tool, and then move on to the next step when you're ready.
質感というか、あれなんですよね。そのオブジェクトの光沢を、光をやってるって感じですかね。いや、今の微調整の仕方、どうやってたんだろう。まあ、細かいのは全部日本語版で学ぼう。
The scene looks so alive now, and Connie's in love with her new home. It's hard to believe that
光源
this
設
scene
定みたいな
used
もん
to
です
be
よ
all
ね、多分。
grey and blocky. Let's try something. How different did we actually make it? To see,
ペンキこぼしたみたいな顔になってしまってるよ。
press square to open the menu, and then take a look in the Show Hide section. The Show Hide icon looks like an open eye. It can be found in most of the mode's menus. In the Show Hide menu, you can make all sorts of different objects visible or invisible. It only works in edit mode, so your scene will still look the same in play mode. Some of them are on by default, and some are switched off. Coat, style and effects is one of the options which is on by default. Its icon is a combination of the icons for all three of those modes. Try turning it off by pressing X over it. Wow, what an amazing difference. That shows you how powerful these tools really are.
なるほど、なるほど。
Using coat, style and effects, you can make even the most boring block come alive. Practice using the tools and see what you can come up with.
でもね、あれなんですよ。聞いてたらなんとなく分かってきたんですよね。
Go to play mode in the options menu.
まあ基本的にペイントツールと同じことですからね。
This will complete the tutorial.
言ったらオブジェクトの質感とか色とかの非表示っていうだけで、あとこれがプレイモードには影響しないけど、描画モードで使えるやつですね。各種が。あ、これで終わりか。よし、色塗りは完璧だぜ。完璧なのかな。あとはあれだな、材質とかがちょっと英語の単語でわかんないけども、触って覚えるしかないですよね。これこんなんなんやっていう。アートトライアル、チュートリアルって、基本的に色だけかな。おお、8まであんの。マジか。濃厚じゃないっすか。
In this lesson, I'll show you how to sculpt your own objects from scratch, which will come in handy because Cuthbert's having a meltdown. Again. Fortunately, we can use the tools in sculpt mode to help get Connie to Cuthbert and escort him to safety. Go to the assembly menu, press the square button to open it if it's closed, and select the modes menu with the X button.
これチュートリアルをコントローラーでやった方がもしかしたらやりやすいかもしれないですね。説明が全部コントローラー説明になってるから。
A new sculpture will be created. You'll also notice that when you're in sculpt mode, everything outside the sculpture will be blurred and grayed out. This is to help you focus on what you're creating. You can adjust visual feedback in your preferences, which you can find in the options menu. When you first enter sculpt mode, the shapes menu will open automatically and the smear shape tool will be equipped to your
使わへんのかい。
Try
使うん
smearing
かい。
now by holding R2 and moving your imp around. It's great for making organic forms.
ああ、こういうのがペイントツール的なものなのか。オブジェクトを複数こう重ねていくみたいなもんなんだ。
By using this tool, we'll help Connie
ス
get
クリプター
across
と
the
一緒
first
か。
gap. Move your view a bit closer to the action, looking side on at the space between the platforms. Make sure you can see the platforms and that your imp can reach them. We want to build an organic structure for Connie to walk on, so let's pick an appropriate shape. Select one from the shapes menu. And you'll see it on the
このユニフォームっていうのは
Use the
な
up
ん
and
だ。
down directional buttons to scale it to an appropriate size.
ああ、
While you have a shape on your imp, you can use the grab
この
cam to
決
zoom
め
in
決め
and
と
out.
いうか
Just hold R1
滑らかさ
and
なの
press
か
the
な。
left stick.
滑らかさと言っていいのかわかんないけ
Now
ど。
position your imp next to the platform on one side of the gap.
マイナスは一
Then
体
hold
何なんや
down
ろ。
R2 and use the motion sensor function or the left stick to smear your shape in the gap so that Connie can walk on it. If you want to have another go at it, just undo using the left directional button. Feel free to press and let go of R2 as many times as you
こ
want.
れ 3D だから奥行きができてるかどうかが一番難しいですもんね。
Bear in mind that all the edits you make are part of a single sculpture, even if they aren't connected.
この V
This
ムーブ
means
の
that in assembly mode, they'll behave like a
扱い
single
方
object.
次第で
Why not try out different shapes to see what works best? Try holding L2 as you sculpt and use the left and right sticks to rotate the shape.
そうこれ系まあこれ系っていうかツール系ってや
Maybe
や
try
ってなんぼっ
making
すもん
something
ね
like a rock formation or a tree trunk. The
やっ
cool thing is,
で
sculpts
あと
are
自分の
automatically
使うのが
visible, so they can be
きちっ
walked
と
on
覚えれ
by
れば
puppets like Connie
大概は
immediately.
ほぼクリアっすよ
When you want to try it out, switch to play mode in the options menu and get Connie to walk around on your sculpture.
このシェイプ自体にもいろんな
When you're
あれなんだ
happy
ね
to move on, go back to edit mode and proceed to the next step.
やばいやばいネクストステップって言われてるちょ待てよあ間違えたでーでででででででスタタタタタはい終わり
What happens when we want to edit an existing sculpture rather than start a new one? Let's investigate. When we went into play mode, we were taken out of sculpt mode. When you're in assembly mode, scope back into your
オ
sculpture.
ブジェクトを滑らかに
Hover
す
over
るや
it
つと
with your
どうやるんやろう
imp,
な
hold L1 and press X. It's just like scoping into a group. Have a go at it now. Now we're here, let's try editing the shapes you've already made. To move or rotate shapes, unequip the smear shape tool by pressing circle. This automatically equips the move tool. You might notice most of the movement controls in sculpt mode are the same as in assembly mode. Grab and move shapes with R2, rotate them using L2 and the sticks, or the
ごめん、
touchpad.
何も聞いてなかった。
You can hold L1 and move with R2 to clone your shapes, or scale them with the up and down buttons. You can even repeat clone. But unlike assembly mode, you can't select things with X in sculpt mode.
あ、グループ
Now try moving, rotating,
的な
and
説明か。
scaling your individual shapes. If you want to smear some shapes again, just go to the Sculpt Tools menu and select the Smear Shape tool. The icon is a row of intersecting squares. Now you can play around at sculpting with different shapes. Don't forget that you can undo and redo at any time.
アンドゥリドゥは分かってはいるからいいとして。
If you accidentally scope out, you can scope back into your sculpture by hovering over it with your imp and pressing L1 and X.
これコントローラー説明だから L1 とかが R3 スティックとかがムーブじゃちょっと無理なんだよな。
In the next step, I'll show you how to color your sculpture.
でもスクラプチャーの説明は他の VR で触ってる分まだなんとなく分かりやすい。
All your sculptures are orangey brown, like clay. That's the default color, but you can sculpt with any color you like. If you're in assembly mode, hover over your sculpture with your imp, then hold L1 and press X to scope back into it. Next, head to the colors section in the sculpt menu and press X over a color group to see the different shades. Choose a color, any one you like. And as if by magic, the shape on your imp is now the color you chose. Any new shapes you make will be that color, but the old shapes are still brown. Luckily, we can also color shapes
これ
after
最後
we've
まで
created them.
チュートリアル終わったら英語喋れるようになるかな。
Go to the
ラーニングできて
sculpt
るか
menu
な。
and open the tools section with X. Then select the spray paint tool, which has a spray can icon. Now your imp will have an outline of the current shape on its tip. Intersect the shape with your sculpture, and you'll see the spray paint color appear on it.
あ
Hold R2 to apply the spray paint to the shapes. You can try out different colors and shapes to completely change the look of your sculpture. If you want to make it easier to keep your imp on the surface of the sculpture,
あ、わかるな。
you can
ま
use
だ
the Surface Snap guide. You can find Surface Snap in the Sculpt Guides menu.
今はあれですね、オブジェクトの形がブラシの先みたいになってる
There's
か
a
ら、
guides menu in
要は
every
円
mode,
柱ブラシで
though
こう
not
塗
all
って
guides
塗れ
are
ますとか、
available everywhere.
オブジ
You
ェク
can
ト
also
せ
change the finish of your sculpture using the
オブジェクト
finishes
設置
menu.
するだけじゃなくて塗る形にもなり
The
ますよ
code
的な
style and
感じ
effects
ですかね。
tutorial has more on finishes if you're curious.
あんなに質感変わるんだ。でも質感もうちょっと増やしたり
And it will
で
be
きたかな。
whatever color your imagination conjured up. If you switched on Surface Snap, switches off in the guides menu before continuing. Just select the button with X to turn it off. Then, when you're ready, proceed to the next step.
まあでもこんな塗るやつはゴリ押しでできるよね。これですから。これが最初に作るんですよね。あなたの言ったら最初のキャラクター設定みたいな。あなたの分身ですみたいな。
All these smeared shapes
でこれをカスタマイズも
create
でき
one
る
single sculpture,
みたいですね。
even if there's space between them. But you can also use the smear tool to remove from the sculpture
右
instead
の
of
ムー
adding
ブ
to
と
it.
左のムーブが
To do that, we need to
右
make
と
the
左
tool
がいますからね。
subtractive. Scope into your sculpture if you haven't already with L1 and X. When the smear shape tool is equipped to your imp, you can press triangle to make it subtractive. You'll notice that your imp turns into an outline. The shape on your imp becomes an outline too. You can now use the smear tool to cut into your sculpture.
それで削るんだ。
Try using different shapes to see what effect they have.
なんかアイコン的にはよくわかんなかったけど。
For a really cool effect, try subtracting with a different colored shape on your imp.
削った表面があの色になるのか。
How good is that? You can switch the tool between additive and subtractive by pressing triangle. Why not play around with the tools a bit and try to make a dramatic or interesting looking form? When you're happy with its shape, go into play mode and see if you can get Connie across it. If you need to edit it, just come back to edit mode via the options menu. Don't forget to scope back into your sculpture using L1 and X. When Connie has successfully crossed the first gap in play mode, switch back to edit mode.
いや、箱に違和感あるじゃないですか。
Smearing shapes can be a
この
messy
ムーブでタッチパネルってどうやって押せばいいんこれ。
Sometimes you just want to create neat sculptures. Luckily, there are
あ、でも
ways
グ
to
リ
do
ッ
that.
ドスナップってあるんだ。
So go to the assembly menu and select sculpt in the modes menu. This will create a new sculpture. Now let's practice sculpting an architectural structure over the second gap. To help us build a neater bridge, open the guide section of the sculpt menu.
ああ、そっちの座標ツール系のやつで。
By pressing X over it. You'll see a number appear next to the button. That's how big the grid squares will be. You'll notice the white dotted grid in the scene. The spacing of the dots shows the tightness of the grid.
これドット作るときにはこれが便利ですよね。ドットもしくはステージとか。角度もグリッドされるんだ。
Now try making a colorful sculpture using the smear and move tools and the colors menu. This will just be a practice one, so don't spend too long on it. We'll delete it and make an even better one in a minute. You'll notice that it's much easier to keep your shapes neat and straight this time. That's because Grid Snap is active. It makes your tools and objects snap to the grid. It also helps you rotate precisely. Try it out using L2 or the touchpad. With Grid Snap on, objects rotate 45 degrees at a time. You can rotate the shape on the end of your imp before you stamp it, or use the move tool to rotate shapes that are already placed. When you're comfortable sculpting with Grid Snap, continue to the next step. If we want to make a super neat bridge, there's another guide we can use. If you're still in sculpt mode, scope out of it with L1 and circle. Once you're in assembly mode, delete your sculpture with triangle. Go to the modes menu. Click the sculpt mode button to start a new sculpture. Now we're in sculpt mode, the guides menu will have different options. Open the guides menu and switch on the mirror guide. Don't worry about the two additional options. Let's investigate them later. Also, check the grid snap is still turned on.
にしてもチュートリアルムービーにしてくれるあたりありがたいな。なんとなく雰囲気がつかめるのが本当ありがたい。
That's why we started a new sculpture. Now, move your view so you can see all of the second gap, and your imp can reach it. If you need to, use the grab cam to zoom out a little from the shape on your imp. Now stamp your first shape right in the center of the gap to enable the mirror guide. Then smear your shape from the center over to the edge of the gap where it meets the platform. You'll see that your sculpt is mirrored, so you only have to make half of the bridge, and it will be nice and symmetrical, leaving you to focus on making it fabulous. Carry on sculpting and carving your bridge until you're happy.
Test
it in play mode. And when Connie is over the second gap, return to edit mode via the options menu.
できたっていうことにしとこ
う。When you're back in edit mode, switch off the mirror guide. You can also switch off grid snap if you want, before moving on to the next step. Now we need to create a bridge across the last gap. For that, we're going to use the mighty stamp tool. First, we'll need to create a new sculpture by going to sculpt mode via the modes menu. Now that you're in sculpt mode, make sure you've switched off the mirror guide before you continue. You'll be equipped with the smear shape tool by default, so you'll need to switch to the stamp shape tool. You can find stamp shape in the sculpt mode tools menu, next to smear shape. Its icon is a simple square. You can quickly switch between the stamp and smear tools using L1 and triangle. It's a bit like switching between additive and subtractive, but with L1 held down. Stamping shapes is a bit like stamping objects from the Dreamiverse. With the stamp shape tool, you only stamp one shape at a time, no matter how long you hold R2 or X. This has additional benefits too, which you'll see later. Now select the cube in the shapes menu, then stamp one at the side of the gap. We're almost there, Connie. Open the Sculpt Tools menu again, and this time hit the Stretch tool. Its icon is a double-ended arrow.
Stretch.
When Stretch is selected, hovering your imp over a shape will cause an arrow gizmo to appear. Hover over the side of the cube that's facing the opposite platform. Press and hold R2 when the arrow is showing, and use your imp to stretch the shape across the gap. Nice. Let go of R2 when you're done stretching. It's not a very exciting bridge right now, but I've got something great to customize it with soon. You can stretch any shape you've sculpted, regardless of what shape it is. Spheres, cones, and even donuts can be stretched. You can even stretch subtractive shapes, but only at the points where they intersect with the sculpture. Have some fun with the stretch tool, but don't go to play mode just yet. When you're ready to take this bridge and your sculpting skills to the next level, continue to the final step.
いやでもこれでもできるっちゃできるよな。なぜスタンプであれをやったんだろう。その意味は何なんだろ
So far, I've shown you a few ways to edit the shapes you've already sculpted. But there's also a way to edit the shape before stamping or smearing. First of all, make sure you're still scoped into the sculpture. If not, hover over the bridge, hold L1 and press X to scope in. Also, make sure that you're using the stamp shape tool and not the smear shape. Next, choose a shape from the Shapes menu and select what color you want it to be. Now move the new shape right next to the bridge so that they're touching. Use the grab cam to make sure the shape is in contact with your bridge. Now hold L1 and press square to open the shape editor, just like when you want to tweak something. When you're in the shape editor, you can let go of L1 and the shape will be fixed in place while editing. Notice the sculpt menu has been replaced with the shape editor menu.
突き刺す
The
ようにやんな
buttons
きゃいけ
vary
ね
a
えな。
little depending on which tool and shape you're using. The shape editor for the stamp tool has quite a few options. We're only interested in one for now, the most exciting one, soft blend. The icon is the one with the two circles blending together. If the option isn't there, just check that you have the stamp shape tool equipped and not smear shape. This is important. Next to the icon, there's a slider and a toggle button. Sliders in the shape editor are round, which may seem unusual, but they work just like the sliders in tweak menus. The blend amount slider affects how much the shape will blend with other shapes nearby. Try holding X on the slider and moving your imp up and down. This is how you get some truly amazing shapes. The hard blend toggle switches between hard and soft blends. Toggle between the two options with X to see the difference it makes.
あ、ちょっと待った。
To close the shape editor, just press circle. Now have a play with your blendable shape.
ブレンダー
You
の
can only blend shapes that are part of the same sculpture. So if you can't see any blending on your shape, scope into the sculpture with L1 and X.
ブレン
You
ダーと
can
か
make
もあ
some
るんだ。
very cool shapes using blending. Try making subtractive blends too. Experiment with different shapes and blends on your bridge. Make it really fancy. You can jump back into the shape editor with L1 and square. You can use the shape editor in any of the sculpting tools. Try using soft blend with the spray paint tool. To exit the shape editor and return to sculpting, just press circle. When you've got the hang of the shape editor and you're happy with your bridge, try it out in play mode and get Connie to Cuthbert. Take Connie through the door to finish the tutorial.
おっとっとっとっとっと。これはいろいろ覚えるのがあんな。あれ、スカルプチャーで削るのってこれじゃなかったの？ 違うんだよな。あれ、削りってどうやってやってたんだあれ。こっちのカットアウト。違うな。これは違うな。ちょっと待って。違うよな。これは消し方がわかんないぞ。いや、お金さい。削りってどうやってた？もしかして、これを置いた後に、これをして、そうか。グループでの編集作業になってたから、他のに影響しなかったのか。そういうことね。わかりました。じゃあ、あれも選択に、削りたいのを選択してグループで編集すればいいのか。なんかこれも凄まじそうだな、ちょっと。もうほぼ動画しか見てないけど。
Will master paint mode. Uh-oh. Looks like Connie's having a bad day. Cuthbert got a bit handy with the lawnmower and mucked up her garden. Sorry, Connie. Let's paint her a lovely new one in paint mode. So, to explain, Everything you see in Dreams is made up of little splats called flecks. They can be big, loose and painterly, or small, tight and smooth. In paint mode, we deal with strokes, like real-life painting. Strokes are lines of flecks that you draw in 3D space using your imp. Let's make some now. Go to the assembly menu. If it's closed, just press the square button to open it. Then open the modes menu with X. It's this little group of icons. In the modes menu, select paint mode. It has an icon with a paint squiggle. When you enter paint mode,
とか表示されてなかったな、今。
the square button, the flecks that you draw in 3D space using your imp. Let's make some now. Go to the assembly menu. If it's closed, just press the square button to open it. Then open the modes menu with X. It's this little group of icons. In the modes menu, select paint mode. It has an icon with a paint squiggle. When you enter paint mode, you'll go straight into the flex menu. And the brush flex tool will be equipped to your imp.
ブラシの種類結
There's
構
a fleck on the tip of your imp. When you're
これでも
painting,
ブラシって言っていい
everything
の
else
かな
goes
これ
blurry and black and white to help you focus on what you're creating. You can adjust the visual feedback in your preferences, which you can find in the options menu. Try pressing and holding R2 while you move your imp around. And look at that, you're painting. Your imp creates a paint stroke made of a trail of flecks. Try changing how hard you press R2 as you paint. With the brush fleck tool, changing the pressure on R2 affects how opaque the flecks are. So if you press R2 lightly, the flecks will be more transparent. Now press square to open the paint menu so that we can look at some new colors and finishes. Look at the top row of buttons in the paint menu to find them. As well as the flex menu, which is already open, there are also menus for colors and finishes there. You can use these to change the color and finish of your flex. Practice with the brush flex tool and make as many strokes as you like. You can always undo any mistakes with the left directional button. Once you've got a feel for painting, continue to the next step.
ああこれを書いてんだね
Was that fun? Now that you've made a gorgeous painting, hold L1 and press circle to scope out of paint mode. It's just like scoping out of a group and works the same way for all creation modes. A painting is a single object created in paint mode, just like a sculpture is a single object created in sculpt mode. In assembly mode, you can move, scale, and rotate your painting.
でもペラッペラの
Strokes in the painting,
パラッ
you
パ
can
ラッパー
scope
みたいな
into
感じになってる
it, just like you can with a group. Try scoping into the painting you just made.
ペイントモードはそのペイントだけで色塗りなの
Then
がで
press
きるんだな
X to scope in. When you scope into a painting, you will automatically be put back into paint mode and equipped with the brush fleck tool. Press circle to unequip the brush fleck tool. Now you can use the move tool on the
ペイント
individual
モード
strokes
で
in
オ
the
ブジェク
painting.
ト的な感じでこうやって薄っぺらいの作っていけば
You can
あれか
scope out of the
紙を
painting
重ねた
again with L1
感じの
and circle.
背景とかも作れるのかな
Do you fancy making some flowers for Connie's garden? Connie loves flowers. Let's start by making a leaf, and then we can work our way up to the petals. Delete your practice painting using triangle. Then enter paint mode in the modes menu. Choose a color and a finish from the paint menu. Then choose a fleck to paint with. Use the up and down directional buttons to adjust the size of the fleck. Now paint a simple stroke. Remember, the harder you press, the more opaque the flecks will be. If you want to take another shot at it,
意外に
just undo
もう
with
適
the
当
left
にやっても
directional
なんか
button
す
and
げえいい
fire.
のができそうで怖いなこのゲーム。なんかそれっぽく見えて全部がいいみたいな。
When you're
おお
happy with your leaf,
嘘だ
go to the next step.
あれがこうなんのか。まず丸を描きます。すると人ができますみたいな、ツイッターでよくあるやつみたいな。
Next, let's paint a
過
stalk.
程がめっちゃ飛ばされ
In
て
the
るみたいな。
context menu, you'll see a button with a plus sign icon. Select this button to start a new painting. For the stalk, we'll use the Draw Flex tool. Open the paint menu with square if it's closed, then select the tools menu. The Draw Flex tool icon is a pencil. Select it with X. Draw Flex acts more like a pen than a paintbrush. The harder you press R2, the larger the stroke gets. So if you press gently, the stroke will be quite small. When you scale the Draw Flex tool, the fleck will get much bigger. That's because it's showing you the maximum size of the fleck. When you stop scaling, it reverts back to the smallest size the fleck can be.
でもなんかスモールサイズで
Try
変えてい
drawing
く
a
と
flower stalk with it.
容量めっちゃ食ったりすんのか
Have
な。
Adjust the pressure on R2 as you paint the stroke, so that the stalk tapers at the end. Don't worry about lining it up with the leaf though, we'll do that later.
あ、そうか、トリガーで強弱ができるのか。
When you're happy with your stalk,
指加減が難しいな、強弱。
Now the exciting bit, the flower. In the context menu, select the Start New Painting button. By starting a new painting, the flower will be a separate object to the stalk. We're going to paint the petals with the Stamp Flex tool, plus a special ingredient. You can find Stamp Flex in the Paint Mode Tools menu. Select it with X, then choose a fleck, color, and finish for your flower's petals.
なかなか前に行かない。
Now for that special ingredient, the Kaleidoscope Guide.
ゆっくりすると濃くなるんだね。
You can find Kaleidoscope in the Guides menu, which is in the top row of the Paint menu. The
あ
Kaleidoscope
ー、線
icon
の
looks
太さじゃ
like
な
a
くて強
snowflake.
弱は濃さ
Select it
か。
with X to turn
違
it on.
うな。
Leave the settings as they
これは
are
ラ
for
ンだ。
now. You can experiment with them later. You'll now have a clump of 5 flecks on your imp. Stamp the clump in your scene. That will set the center of the kaleidoscope. There will now be 1 fleck on your imp and 4 others floating around the center point. Whatever you do with the fleck on your imp will be mirrored by the other 4. You might need to adjust your position to get a good view.
やっぱ奥行き
You
が
could
出
also
ちゃうの
try
か。難
rotating
しい
the
な。
fleck on your imp. To do that, hold L2 and use the sticks, or stroke the touchpad.
へえ。
You can use the up and down directional
ミラーのや
buttons
つ
to
って
scale the
動
flex.
かせんのか。
Whatever you do, make a flower you like the look of. If you mess up, you can just undo it with the left directional button and try again. Add as many petals as you like. Try using different colors and sizes. You could also try using the other painting techniques you've learned. If you want to delete parts of the bloom,
フレーム
just
アニメーション
unequip
み
the
たいな。
stamp flex tool by pressing circle. Then use triangle to delete any parts you don't like. If you delete the first flex you stamped, the kaleidoscope guide will still be centered on their position. With the move tool equipped, you can also move or even clone parts of the painting. Flex created with the kaleidoscope guide will always behave like a kaleidoscope, even when the guide is turned off. Go ahead and experiment. Then, when you're happy, proceed to the next step.
あ、これでハニカムのやつはできるのかな。
Now we've finished painting, unequip the stamp flex tool with circle. And if it's still on, turn off kaleidoscope in the guides menu too. Scope out of the painting by holding L1 and pressing circle. Now you can assemble the parts of the flower using the move tool.
上にこうやって上がっていくタイプなんだ。
Beautiful. Let's group the flower so it's a single object. Select all of the flower parts with X. And now select the group button in the context menu. There. We've made the flower a single group that we can move, scale, rotate, and clone. I spy some charming plant pots. How about we put the flower in one of them? Now let's make another flower by cloning the first one. So hold L1, then grab the flower with R2 to make a
最終
clone.
的にこの中に入れていくんだ。
We don't want them all to look identical though. Let's make a different bloom. You can scope into the flower group by holding L1 and pressing X over it.
まあよくわかんな
Now
い草
delete
を。
the bloom
あ、
from the top of the plant. Let's do something a bit different with this flower. In the next step, I'll show you how to edit the appearance of your flex. So, let's make a beautiful new bloom for this flower. Enter paint mode and equip the stamp flex tool. To make this bloom look a little different, we're going to edit the flex appearance. We can do that by selecting the Edit Flex button in the context menu. Or use the shortcut. Hold L1 and press square to open the Flex editor. It's the same shortcut as opening a tweak menu. The Flex editor has sliders for altering the appearance of the Flex. They look a bit different to the sliders you see in tweak menus, but they work much the same way. Try dragging them up and down using X and see what they
いや
do.
草が生えていくわ。
How exciting! The fade slider adds extra flex that fade away near the edges. The scatter slider adds extra flex with impasto to create a more
何の味気もねえ、ただの草や。
The opacity slider makes the fleck more transparent.
この斜めに塗ってるのってやっぱりそういう風に塗ってあるだ
Once
けな
you've
のかな。
adjusted the sliders to your liking, simply press circle to exit the fleck editor and start painting with your fleck. Now create a new bloom for the flower. Perhaps try turning on kaleidoscope again. When you're finished, exit the painting by pressing L1 and circle. Move the new bloom onto the stalk, and then scope out of the
いやー、
group
すげえ
with
な。
L1 and circle. When you're done, move on to the next step. Now we have some new flowers. How about a bit of rain to water them? We can do that by creating an animated stroke. Make sure you're scoped out of any paintings or groups. Then select Paint Mode from the Modes menu. For the rain, we'll use the Rule Flex tool. It's in the Paint Mode Tools menu. The icon looks like a ruler. The Rule Flex tool lets you draw straight lines made of flex. Choose a fleck, color, and finish for your rain. Something watery. Then close the menu with Square. These flecks are going to be raindrops, so make them small using the down directional button. Move your view back from the flowers so that you can see plenty of space above them. Then position your imp at a reasonable distance above the flowers and press and hold R2. Stretch the stroke down to the grass at a slight angle, then release R2 to stamp it. This line of flex is going to be the path of the raindrop. Unequip the Rule Flex tool with Circle, then scope out of your painting using L1 and Circle. It doesn't look like much at the moment, but in the next step, I'll show you how to make it look more rainy. To animate the painting, we need to tweak it. So hover your imp over the painting you just made. Hold L1 and press square to open its tweak menu. Look for the animation page of
こ
the
れが
tweak
雨に
menu.
なるの？
The tab has a clapperboard icon. The slider at the top controls the playback speed. Grab the slider with X and pull it to the right. You won't see anything change to start with. In order to see animation, you'll need to start time by clicking R3. Use the grab cam or the sticks to get up close to the stroke, and you'll see the flecks are moving along it. You can increase the playback speed to make them move faster. The next step is to switch on pulse. When pulse is on, you won't see the whole stroke. Instead, a pulse of flex will travel down it. Select the pulse button in the animation tab of the tweak menu. Its icon is a bomb. Ah yes, that looks much more like a raindrop. You can shorten the trail of the pulse using the slider below the pulse button. Shorten the trail a little to achieve a raindrop look. The drops are still a little on the slow side. Grab the playback speed slider and turn it right up. That's more like it. One raindrop isn't going to water many flowers though. There's a handy way to duplicate your painting without having to clone it loads of times. I'll show you in the next step.
すげえな。あれを 一気にコピーとかできんのかな。
So now let's duplicate our raindrop and create a proper downpour. In the tweak menu of the raindrop painting, look for the duplicates tab. The duplicates icon is a pair of sheep, just like the clone tool. This tab is used to create
ああ、
duplicates
クローンツールの中にも結
based
構
on
い
a
ろんなのあんだ
variety
な。
of options. The positional duplicates options determine where the copies appear. The option we want is around camera. Select it and see what happens.
おお、すげえ。
Now it looks like it's really raining. This
なる
setting
ほど。
duplicates the painting around the camera
視点に
automatically.
対しての
So wherever
描
we
画
go
みたい
in
になる
the
ってこ
scene,
となのかな。
it will seem like it's raining. At the bottom of the duplicates tab are 3 sliders. They affect how many of them there are, how far apart the duplicates are spaced, and whether they are scaled randomly. Try adjusting the sliders and see if you can create an effect you like. Then close the tweak menu using the close button in the corner.
す
Or
げえな。
hold L1 and press circle over the tweak menu to close it. Now that we've watered the garden, let's add some finishing touches. Open the assembly menu with square, then select the search button with X. The collection for this tutorial contains lots of great things made in paint mode. There are also more plant pots and a garden shed made in sculpt mode. Use the collection to finish making Connie's garden. Stamp some plants or pots, or paint more plants of your own. Make it lovely.
ああ、でも確かに既存に用意してあるやつ使うの
Stamp the shed in
だけ
there
でも
somewhere.
楽しそうだよな。
To finish the tutorial, switch over to play mode and walk Connie through the door of the shed.
ふう。頭パンクしそう。Creating art. Use reward return to home space. あれなんか追加されたってこと？別に何か追加されたようには見えないけど。そういう意味じゃないのかな。あ、このホームス、こっちの素材にチュートリアルのやつが入ったんだ。はは。一応チュートリアルはあれか。素材を手に入れるためにやらなきゃ、やっとかないといけないようなものなのかな。これは強制的にホームポジションに戻されるって感じなのかな。いやー、勉強って久々だ。面白いな。
Oh, look at you. This is your aura. Your creativity grows and evolves. Your aura will change to reflect your activities. You can become a specialist at one aspect of dreams, or dabble in every area as you like. It can also help others find you, so you can combine your talents and make something amazing together.
ピーはレベルアップごとに出てくるんか、もしかして。ついにレベル5。We know what you like to play. Play? You are an explorer of digital world. You may not... これはどうなの？ What's what makes it special? ん？ドリームボスペシャル何？ Without you our dream crafters would have an audience. 何やったんや？何かが解放されたのかな？それともただ、もうあなたは立派なドリーマーですっていうことなのかな？ただの。まだチュートリアル全然終わってないけど。これアートチュートリアルのモーションコントローラー版は1個しかないのかな？キャラクターアートチュートリアル。キャラクターアートチュートリアルってやっぱボーン設定が来んのかな？キャラクターを作ってみたいからボーン設定のやつとかは知りたいんだよな。
Connie's hosting a talent contest to find the best characters in the Dreamiverse.
やべえキャラクターだな。
But she's a no-nonsense judge, and none of these candidates are up to scratch.
面接なんすね。
Of course, Cuthbert's no use, so let's see if we can come up with something to impress her.
帰ってくれない。
Head into the dressing room.
しつこい。帰れ。コニーちゃんたちが満足できるキャラクターがいないから、プレイヤーが作ってくださいってことなんですね。
Customizing the appearance of a puppet. So we'll need a blank canvas to start. Go to the assembly menu and open the gadgets menu. Now open the gameplay gear menu.
これは説明。
In here, find the blank puppet.
ちょっと待った。再生。
Deluxe. The deluxe version is the perfect starting point for making characters. Select it with X and a blue mannequin will appear on your imp.
ちょっと待って、パペットのやつとかある？
It has built-in features like jump and possession animations, which the basic version doesn't have. Connie won't be impressed by a basic puppet, so make sure you select the right one. Connie won't be... Now open the gameplay gear menu.
ああ、これ
In
ね。
here, find the blank puppet deluxe. The deluxe
てか
version is the
メ
perfect
メニュー
starting
メ
point
ニュー
for
をこう
making characters.
あ
Select it with X
これで
and a
ずらせ
blue
た。
mannequin will appear on your imp. It has built-in features like jump and possession animations, which the basic version doesn't have. Connie won't be impressed by a basic puppet, so make sure you select the right one. Stamp the deluxe puppet in the scene with R2 or X. Get its feet roughly on the floor, but make sure they aren't intersecting with it. Then press the circle button to unequip the puppet from your imp.
ちょっと、なんか、なんだなんだ
If you need to, you can grab and adjust the puppet with
うまく
R2.
置けないよ。
In the next step, we'll start exploring the puppet's inner workings. The puppet might look simple, but it's quite a complex gadget. So let's get to know it a little better. It's made up of many objects that have been grouped together. And just like any other group, it can be scoped into. Hover over the puppet with your imp, press and hold L1, and then press X to scope in. Below the puppet, you will now see its base and its logic microchip. If they're obscured by the floor, you may need to scope out and adjust your puppet's position. The puppet's body is made of sculptures, joined together with connectors. When scoped in, we can grab parts of the puppet to change its pose. Before we do that, find the button called Puppet Mirror in the context menu. Select this button with X, and your puppet will stay symmetrical when you pose it. Of course, you don't have to make it symmetrical, but it's a good way to start. You can always add nuance later. When you move a part of the puppet, all the parts connected to it will also move. The root of the puppet is the pelvis, and every other part is connected in a hierarchy from there. For example, moving the upper arm
なん
will
か
move
関
the
節
lower
の
arm
動きが
and
不
the
思
head
議
as
なんだ
well.
けど。
But if you move the pelvis, the whole puppet will move. Its feet will try to stay in contact with the floor. So if you lower the pelvis, the puppet's knees will bend. You can also rotate parts by grabbing them with L2. Use R2 and L2 to create a new pose for the puppet. Changing the pose can be a great starting point for a character. The pose could be confident, sad, scared, or aggressive. Don't forget, you can undo any changes with the left directional button if you make a mistake. Use the grab cam to adjust your pose from different angles. Just hold R1 over the puppet to activate it.
このポーズのリセ
When you
ッ
finish
トはどうす
posing
る
the
んだろう。
puppet, move on to the next step.
?この子を正しい姿勢に戻すにはどうしたらいいんだ？
We can start adjusting its proportions. To do that, we're going to use the stretch tool. Go to the assembly menu, then open the tools menu. Select the stretch tool. It's the one that looks like a double-ended arrow. The stretch tool works like the move tool in a lot of ways. But with the stretch tool, you can move parts of the puppet beyond the limits of the connectors. Try grabbing and moving the puppet's head. Notice the way the neck elongates and shortens. Now try it on the hands. This changes the length of the upper and lower arm. Some body parts respond differently to the stretch tool. For instance, if you move the upper arms, the shoulders will broaden and the chest will expand. You can also scale parts of the puppet using the up and down directional buttons. I'd only recommend doing this to the puppet's extremities though, the head, hands and feet. Puppets are delicate contraptions, and extreme scaling and stretching can make them behave unexpectedly. But if anything does go skew with, just undo it using the left directional button. If you know how to use sculpt mode, you could try scoping into the individual body parts to change their shape.
もうアンドゥが安定やわ。
You can find a whole tutorial on sculpting in the art tutorials. Have a play around with stretching and scaling and see what you can create. Try making the puppet more cartoony or turn it into a monster. Test out your puppet in play mode to see it in motion. When you're done, return to edit mode.
なんで左に首が傾む、あ、そうか、コントローラーか。
To get your puppet back in position. In the next step, I'll show you how to color and stylize your puppet. Another way of customizing your puppet's appearance is by
すげえ筋肉もりもりになってんじゃん。
We can do this by tinting it in coat mode. If you've played my tutorial on coat, style and effects, you'll already know how to do this. In the assembly menu, go to the modes menu and enter coat mode. In the coat mode menu, open the colors menu and select a color for your puppet. Now hover over your puppet and hold R2 to tint it with your selected color. The longer you hold R2, the stronger the tint will become. If you want your puppet to be multicolored, simply scope into the puppet. Select a different color from the colors menu. Hover your imp over a part of the puppet you want to tint. How about the head? Now, when you press and hold R2, just that part of the puppet will be tinted. You can also use the tools in style mode and effects mode. Try using style mode to change the texture of your puppet. If you don't know how to use style mode, there's an art tutorial which can help you. In the next step, we'll dive into the dressing up box.
赤いのに赤合わせてもダメだな。ちょっと分かりづらいな。重ねがけみたいな感じ。すげえ顔色が悪くなってきた。これがこうやってパーツごとに入れるんやね。
One of the simplest ways to customize a puppet is by adding accessories. But to make sure they move with the puppet, we need to group them with a body.
これを
Before we do that,
改造していくぐらいしかキャラクター作りちょっと大変そうだな。
If you've played part 4 of the Start Dreaming tutorials, then you'll already know a thing or two about using groups. Objects in Dreams are often combined into groups.
意外にすごいなんかロジックが組まれてるもんね。
Groups themselves can also be grouped. This means that you can have groups nested inside other groups. Let's try scoping in and out of something else before we invade the puppet's personal space. Over there on the floor is a hat box. Make sure you're in edit mode. Now try taking the lid off the hat box. The whole box will move because the lid, the box, and its contents have been grouped. Undo the move with the left directional button to put it back in its place. Now scope into the group. Hover over the hat box, press and hold L1 and press X. Everything but the box should go grey and blurry. If not, make sure your visual feedback preference is set to all. This shows that you've scoped into the group and can edit its contents. Now, you should be able to take the lid off the hat box.
おお、その中に。
Is another hat box. Try taking the lid off this one. I think you can guess what will happen. This smaller hat box is also grouped with its lid and contents. Remove the smaller box and place it next to the large one. Now scope into this group by holding L1 and pressing X over the smaller hat box. The original hat box will go grey and blurry as we've scoped.
すげえマトリョーシカみたいに入ってんな。
Now you should be able to open the smaller hat box. What's inside? A lovely hat. Take it out and place it next to the smaller box.
これをパーツだけを取り外すっていうのはどうしたらいいんだろう。
When you've done that, proceed to the next step. Now that we've taken the hat out of the box, let's try putting it on our puppet. First, we need to scope out of this group. To do that, simply hold L1 and press circle. That takes us back into the large hat box group. Now scope out again into the main scene by holding L1 and pressing circle. Pick up the hat. We seem to have a bit of a problem here. The hat is still inside the nested groups, even though it's outside the hat box.
グループ解除しないといけないってことだよね。この
Only you and your imp are moving in and out of objects or groups. Unless you're carrying something with you. Scope back into the large hat box group, and then into the smaller hat box group to get the hat. Now grab and hold the hat with R2, and scope out of both groups with L1 and circle while holding the hat. If you've done it correctly, you should be back in the main scene. With a hat you can now move independently of the boxes. That's because scoping in and out of the group while holding an object adds or removes it from that group. Hurrah! Now we can put it on the puppet.
待って、今どうやった？
Grab the hat, hop. If you've done it correctly, you should be back in the grab and hold. Scope back into the large hat box group, and then into the smaller hat box group to get the hat. Now grab and hold the hat with R2, and scope out of both groups with L1 and circle while holding the hat. If you've done it correctly, you should be back in the main. Grab and hold the hat with R. Scope back into the large hat box group, and then into the smaller hat box group to get the hat. Now grab and hold the hat with R2, and scope out of both groups with L1 and circle while holding the hat. If you've done it correctly, you should be back in the main scene. With a hat you can now move independently of the boxes. That's because scoping in and out of a group whilst holding an object adds or removes it from that group. Hurrah! Now we can put it on the puppet.
待って、グループ解除。やばい、これがわかんない。
If you've done it correctly, you should be back in the main scene. With a hat you can now move. Grab and hold the hat with R2, and scope out of both groups with L1 and circle while holding the hat.
ああ、丸ボタン
If you've done it correctly, you should be back in the main scene
これ持っ
with
た
a
状
hat you
態
can now
で
move independently of the boxes. That's because
あ、違
scoping
う
in and out
こ
of
れ
a
を押し
group
なが
whilst
ら
holding an object adds or removes it
違うな
from that group. Hurrah! Now we can put it on the puppet. Grab the hat, hover over the puppet, then hold L1 and press X to scope into the puppet with the hat. Now scope into the puppet's head while still holding the hat. This is a shortcut for grouping two objects if you're already grabbing one of them. Simply grab an object and scope into another object to group them automatically without having to select them. The same way that
三
scoping
角と
into a
丸を
group while holding
同
an
時なの
object adds it to the group. Now that it's in a group with the head, place the hat where you
ちょ
want.
っと三角同
Remember
時
to
押
check
し
it from different angles using the grab cam to make sure it's in position. Press R2 softly to nudge if you need to make fine adjustments to the
ちょっと
position
待
of
っ
the
て
hat. Before you move on, you should try out the puppet to see it walk around with its new accessory. Switch to play mode, possess it with R2, and take it for a wander. Nice. When you're ready to continue, go back to edit mode. Going to play mode and back to edit mode will scope you out of any groups. Remember to rewind time with L3 to get your puppet back in position. Then go to the next step.
三角と丸を押しても拡大の方になっちゃうんだよな。ちょっと待って、ここがマジでわかんない。これは拡大縮小やろ。L1 っていうのはこっちになるのかな。ちょっと待って、これグループのやつがマジでわかんねえな。コントローラーとは違うやり方でやるしかないか。単品選んで、ここからグループ解除っていうのはできないのかな。ちょっと待った、これどういうことだ。リムーブフロムグループしたいのに、三角と丸じゃないんじゃないのかな、ボタンこれ。拡大のやつになんだよな。ちょっとマジでわかんない、これ。 階層入るでしょ。これをここからもうグループはないから、これグループの階層出ちゃうしな。はいはいはいはいはい。ちょっとそれ説明下手すぎん。左スティックの三角と右の丸を押すのか。全然 L1 でもないやん。
Okay, let's add some more accessories before our puppet's stage debut.
でもこれっ
Open the
て
assembly menu
統合
and
され
select
てんの？
search, the button with the magnifying glass, to search for an element. Usually, you'd be in the Dreamiverse here, but for this tutorial, I've kept things simple and curated a collection of elements for you to use. Take a look at some of the accessories in the collection. Select one you like with X. You'll now have your chosen accessory on your imp. Don't stamp it down yet though. First we need to scope into the puppet. You can do this even when you have an element from the Dreamiverse on your imp. Scope in with L1 and X, and then scope into the body part that you want to attach it to. If that body part is already
こ
in
の
its
2
own
つを
group,
選んで
you'll enter that group.
グループに
But if the
し
body
てやっ
part is
て、
just a sculpture, then you'll create a new group when you stamp the object down.
その上で
Once the accessory is in the group, you can adjust the
乗せちゃえ
accessory
ば
while you're there.
いけんじゃないの。
Try adding some more accessories from the collection.
いやー、帽子が同期されてない。
Then it's important to test the puppet in play mode to check that the accessory is attached correctly.
一緒のグループに入ってるはずなん
Here's
だけど
another
な。
very important tip. If you ever want to remove an accessory, whatever you do, don't ungroup the body part. If you do that, you'll delete that group's connection to the puppet. And without the connector, your puppet's limbs will start falling off when you go into play mode. And nobody wants that. Instead, scope into the group containing the body part and the accessory. Then either delete the accessory or grab it and scope out. If there's only one object left in the group, it'll automatically ungroup, and the connector will remain safely connected to the remaining object. Play around with the things you've learned in this tutorial and have fun making a character. When you're happy, select the star podium from the tutorial collection and stamp it down in the outline that we've put in the scene for you. Then head back into play mode, jump onto the podium and see what Connie thinks of your creation. Now that we've taken the hat out of the box, let's try putting it on our puppet. First,
とりあえず
we need
グ
to
ループは
scope
分か
out
った。
of this group. To do that, simply hold L1 and press circle. That takes us back into the large hat box group. Now scope out again into the main scene by holding L1 and pressing circle. Only you and scope back, grab and hold. Now Now scope into the puppet's head while still holding the hat. This is a shortcut for grouping two objects if you're already grabbing one of them. Simply grab an object and scope into another object to group them automatically without having to select them. The same way that scoping into a group while holding an object adds it to the group. Now that it's in a group with the head, place the hat where you want it. Remember to check it from different angles using the grab cam to make sure it's in position. Press R2 softly to nudge if you need to make fine adjustments to the position of the hat.
これちゃんと頭だけになってる?
Before you move on, you should try out the puppet to see it walk around with its new accessory. Switch to play mode, possess it with R2 and take it for a wander.
ちょっとなんかずれてるけど、あー、グループ解除とグループ追加を分かった。
Going to play mode and back to edit mode will scope you out of any groups. Remember to rewind time with L3 to get.
いやー、ちょっとグループ手こずったな。片方で同時押しっていうのじゃないのか、片方ずつで押していくってやつなのか。これでハットも、あ、まだ、あれハット入ったんじゃないの？ちなみに自由に作れるモードっていうのは一体どこなんだろう？未だにそれがわかんないんだよな。レベルって何本まであんの？これ。Window what like to do play本当ですよね。ごめんなさい。もうただの迷子放送です。夜見たら寝れそうな感じ。あ、ちょっと待った。今ちょっとこのゲームのドリームズっていうゲームの勉強をしてる感じですね。あれ、京都8時からでしたっけ？居酒屋配信って何時からやったっけ？早く覚えたいんだよな。作れる。あ、よかった。ありがとうございます。コミュニティチャンネル行っても枠みたいのを取ってるわけじゃないんだな。これでやっぱりオープンで作っていくのかな。これしかやっぱないのかな。これでキャラクター画面になって、要はここからこのボンを使って簡単に作っていくしかないですもんね。ボン入れたでしょ。 ちょっと頭身がちっちゃいのが好きだから。VR ではないですけど、今、プレイステーションムーブで操作してる感じですね。いずれアップデートとかで VR も作れるようになるらしいんですけどね。なんで動かすタイプになってんだけど。でも VR の作ってテストとかで大変そうだな。こうまく短くできねえな。うーん。な、このモデリング、オブジェ自体を拡大縮小ってできないのかな。なんか既存のやつ使いにくいな。まだちょっといろいろマスターしないといけないな。えーっと、えーっと、操作はそうっすね。あと、一番は英語っていうのがやばい。日本人ですっていう。意味合いがちょっとまだつかめないですもんね。USB の音源とか、イラストの取り込みが調べてもわかんなかったんですよね。イラスト取り込めれば、参考の画像を見ながら作れるけど、配信としては NG 関連になるのかな。楕円にするやつとかはないのかな。 カーブって何これ。何かカーブされてるこれ。何かがカーブされているようには見えないんだけど、もうちょっと大きく作れば変わるものなのかな。確かに似てましたね。クリエイト系でいつも思うのはこの無音が一番怖い。一応これホワイトなのかな。グレーがかってるような気がするんだけどな。一応これがホワイトなのか。オフホワイトにしか見えない。これをきれいにする方法的なものはないのかな。この鳴らすブラシって多分どっかにあると思うんだよな。違う、これ間違えた。ここは滑らかさになるんでしょ。ホールって何なんだろう。これ。こうした状態で、ちょっと、空間を使うの難しいな。くわ。これで、えーっと、これもう一個つけて、 あ、間違えた。あれあれ、グループのやつが出ないんだけど。おんやグループ、違う違う、間違えた。グループのやつはどれだ？いや、違う。あれあれあれあれ、どうしたどうした？本当ですよ。やってる方必死だけど、見てる方何見せられてんだって感じですもんね。いいや、もうこれは、なくして、もう一回作り直そう。まだ完璧に使いこなせないな。で、今からやるやつの、これで、置いて、で、新しく作る。変える。視点だけを、一箇所だけを膨らます方法、ボワーってあれはどうするんだろうな。これは全体が膨らむんでしょう。完全にただの卵にしか見えない。なんや、経験値が手に入った。物を作ってると経験値が入るのか。 滑らかにする方法が知りたいな。スムース機能みたいのはないのかな。ブラシ関連であんのかな。ちょっとマジでわかんないな。スタイル。キャラクターモードのやつで。こういう説明あるのかなと思ったんだけどな。このボリュームブラシって、あ、これか。違うかな。滑らかになってるように見えるだけかな。いや、でも押しても何も変化ないしな。違うんだな。でもアンドゥしても変化がないから違うんだ。モデリングの、これはただ塗るだけやもんね。あれ、これは違うんだよな。えっと、選択してたからダメだったのかな。 スタイルモード。これ鳴らすやつってどうするんだ？あったけど、この材質のまま、あ、これは関係ないか。これはこの材質のやつになるってことやもんな。鳴らすやつってどうやるんだろう。艶やかにするのって。ちょっと、あれの、あの VR とちょっと違うから、モデリング難しいな。これを滑らかにする方法が知りたい。あれなんか四角がぐにゅぐにゅってなってんな、これ。角を鳴らすやつとかを知りたいな。これスタンプモードでやった方が良かったりすんのかな。 りあえず足でしょ。ここを削っていくしかもうないのかな。うん。こ、この距離感がな。わかんねえな。あれなんで追加モードみたいになってんの。あ、違う。間違えた。距離感難しい。いや、これ、難しいな。もっといいやり方が絶対あるはずなんだよな。もうちょっと生き物っぽい柔らかい丸みが欲しいんだけどな。うわ、斜めになっちゃう。これをもうちょっと綺麗になめす方法があればな。 ちょっとコントローラーのやつがマジで難しいな。VR 空間の方のが全然作りやすいな。いや、減ってるかわかんねこれはちょっと大変すぎる。早く VR 対応してほしい。これは難しいな。コツつかむまですげえ時間かかるかも。違う、思ってたんと違うとこに行っちゃうな。あ、そうだ、そろそろ放送終わります。生放送が始まる。これ練習だ、要練習だな。